Greetings and salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today is going to be a reading vlog where I catch up on one of my favorite series ever, which is the Wayward children's series by Shauna McGuire. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a casual reading vlog and I'm really excited. So one of my favorite series ever is the Wayward children's series by Shauna McGuire. I actually really love Shauna McGuire's writing. I think it's so fantastical and lyrical and fun, and a series that I've been a really big fan of is the Wayward children's series. I feel like I haven't talked about this series a lot on my channel and how much I love it, but I do, okay? I do read romance a lot here on this channel, but I read other things too sometimes, and this series is just so special to me. It's a really popular series. I know that Riley loves it and has done videos on it. I know that Kayla from Books and Lala really loves it too. I'm familiar with the series. It's called the Wayward children's series. It's a pretty lengthy series. I think at the time of me filming this, there's 9 books out, but they are all novella length. I tend to listen to the audiobooks and they're all about 4 or 5 hour audiobooks. Very fast paced, very easy to follow, and just kind of fun to pick up. The books are pretty fantastical. So the premise is that in this universe, different doors exist. Doors that lead into different universes and experiences and worlds. The idea of these doors is that they appear to children when they most need it or when it most fits them and the situation that they're living. Every character in this book has a door in a universe that is exactly fitting who they are meant to be, and they're kind of like heroes in their own fairy tale. As fantastical as that seems though, each book does have some darker themes and undertones. Shauna McGuire has a lot of social commentary in her books. Some of them even have like murder mystery plots. It's kind of difficult for me to explain the series because I kind of feel like it transcends genres. It has a fantastical element to it, a murder mystery element to it, a general fiction element to it. The writing is just beautiful, and I feel like there's something for everyone. I love the found family trope in here. I love the idea of people finding a place where they feel like they could belong. It's so beautiful. The first book in the series is Every Heart is a Doorway. Such a good book to start in the series. It follows our main character Nancy, who comes from a world that is kind of like the underworld a little bit. It's like Hades and Persephone. She found her portal. She basically found happiness and really resonated with the door that she was given. However, not everyone stays in the world that they find, and a lot of them are abruptly brought back into the real world, kind of have to navigate their lives knowing that other fantastical worlds exist. So her family is really struggling with who she now is. She's really struggling with where she wants to be. So she ends up at Eleanor's School for Wayward Children, and this is a school of other children who have found their doors and are hoping to find them again, or who have found their doors and are now back in the real world and they're struggling to like acclimate. When she gets there, one of the kids is actually murdered. There's a little murder mystery plot going on. All of these darker things happening in the school, so she needs to figure out what's going on. Really great start to the series. You're introduced to a lot of characters that kind of like continue into the series. Each book has its own main character, its own door, fantastical elements. I want to catch up on the series. So that's what this whole video is about. I know that was a longer intro, but I had to introduce the series and what we're going to do. Like I said, there are 9 books right now and I've read 6. So I have a couple to catch up on, and that's what we're going to do this week. So I'm going to take you guys along with me as I catch up on my favorite series. That's it. I will talk to you guys when I have an actual update. The lighting is kind of weird, so sorry about that, and sorry if you can hear the laundry in the background. Let me close the door. Doing a revamp. My room is just feeling stale and kind of dork, so we're doing a revamp. I got a new comforter, pillows, sheets, blankets. Let me show you what I got. I got a new comforter from the House of Bezos, the Zon, Amazon. I'll put a picture here to show you guys what it looks like, and you'll probably see me making my bed in a second. I wanted like a nice, warm, cozy chocolate brown because all of my furniture in here, like my bookshelves and my dresser, is brown. So I was thinking kind of like a chocolate covered strawberry vibe because I also have lots of pops of red and strawberries in my room. So brown sheets, or brown comforter. And then when it came to the pillows, I really wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do because I have this blue chair right there. And I love this chair. I don't want it to leave. So I was like, oh, maybe I could do blue, or maybe I could do red because like chocolate covered strawberry. We ended up going with the blue. The pillows I got 4 of them. So a pack of 2 and then another pack of 2. And I got these from HomeGoods. And then I got some regular pillows as well. Then I got this cute strawberry. It is a candle, and I am gonna burn it, even though it's super cute, because then I can clean it out and use it for storage.
I love her. She's stunning. I got this from HomeGoods. Then I got these plaid jackets from Costco. I got a brown one and a black one. So that was like my little shopping trip for the day.
Alright, we finished our first book for the video. I was kind of debating if I wanted to reread some books or kind of pick up on where I left off. Ooh, I have the hiccups. I'm so sorry. Decided to just pick up on where I left off in the series, and I might go back and read some of my favorites, but I basically left off on book 7, which is Where the Drowned Girls Go. Right off the bat, I really did love this one. I gave it 4 stars. I just can't imagine giving Seanan McGuire anything like less than a 4 or 5 stars. I just really do enjoy her writing. Her series just feels so magical. I love following our character's storyline. I love like the social commentary. I just love everything. So this book follows Cora, who found her door when she was at the darkest point of her life. She is plus size, and her entire life she had to deal with people's commentary on her body. People being really awful and fat phobic to her. Trigger warnings for bullying and intrusive thoughts. And when she finds her door, she's at such a dark point in her life. She is thinking of taking her own life because the bullying gets so intense, and she tries to drown herself. And in that, she finds her door. It opens up to this underwater world where she's essentially a mermaid, because in the water is where she has felt the most comfortable and the most strength. So she finds her door, and now she's back in like the real world, and everything was perfect in this world, and there was like evil sea creatures and gods that kind of got a hold of her before she ended up coming back. Some things that she wants to forget, and she doesn't want to be dragged down into that dark place again. All of these kids go to this school kind of hoping that their door is going to open again, and our heroine is at a place in her life where she kind of wants to close off those memories, so she ends up going to another school called the Whitethorn Institute. I think that's what it's called. It's called the Whitethorn Institute. So she goes there because she had heard it was a place that you could forget, but when she gets there, she realizes there's something deeper and darker happening at the institute, and a lot of the kids are suffering from a lot of trauma. And it follows our heroine as she is healing herself and discovering what it means to become a hero in her own story, and I loved it. I loved everything about it. There are some trigger warnings, and this one has darker themes than maybe some of the other books do, but it felt so raw and real and so fantastical at the same time. It's like that perfect balance. The discussion on bullying and body dysmorphia, you view yourself versus how society views you, and yeah, it was just written in such a beautiful way, and I feel like I can't articulate it properly. What I can say is Seanan McGuire can. Okay, she can tackle all of those heavy topics in such a short space, because it's only like a 4 or 5 hour audiobook, and she does it so well. Writing style and her storytelling abilities and her power of words is just fantastic. Like, she is a phenomenal writer, and this book is an example of that. So 4 stars. The only reason I'm giving it 4 stars is not 5 stars is because I like other books in the series better. That's it. So many different characters, so many different doors and fantasy elements to the series that you're just gonna connect to different ones more, but I still really like this one, so 4 stars. I don't know why I keep playing with like this packing thing. I just opened a package and I just like, I'm tearing this apart, making a mess on my floors. But the discussion on like body image and body dysmorphia, oh my gosh, it was so raw, so real. It's crazy how society just like feels so comfortable commenting on people's body. Isn't that crazy? I've never struggled too much with body dysmorphia, but in my family's Hispanic, my nickname when I was a kid always was flaca. Always. Translates to skinny in Spanish. I was a very small, tiny, itsy bitsy child, okay? I was short and I was tiny. Even when I was in high school, I was still wearing like kids' double zeros. I was tiny. Flaca, flaquita, it was all meant as a term of endearment, and it never bothered me. Definitely there were some people who would say kind of just you know, disingenuous things like, oh, you need to eat more, you need to eat a burger, you're too tiny. But that was kind of like few and far between. Then when I hit my 20s, kind of like 22, 23, is when I started to gain a little bit more weight. A lot of that weight was because I have endometriosis. You don't have endometriosis and have never experienced this, something we call like an endo belly, right? Our bellies get very, very swollen from everything that's happening. And I gained a ton of weight from the birth control that I was being put on, because of my endometriosis and all different types of things. I just happened to gain weight. Never really bothered me. For the first time in my life, I had curves. But there were people who I'm not close to, by the way, in my family, kind of like extended family, who would be like, oh, you're not flaquita anymore, you're gordita, which means fat in Spanish. We're like, yeah, we can't call you flaca anymore, so you're gordita. And I remember thinking, like, why are you commenting on my body? Why are you so obsessed? You're so obsessed. So weird growing up and having people perceive you in a way you don't perceive yourself. And that's just like my example. I know some people have gone through way worse. Again, I never really dealt with body dysmorphia, and those comments kind of like rolled off my back because I did not care about their opinions. It is strange to think people feel entitled to comment on your body and appearance. If you've ever struggled with that, I feel like this book represented it in such a way that was just really, really good. It could be triggering for some people, definitely read the trigger warnings, but it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. So anyways, I really liked that one and kind of wanted to share my thoughts on that. So that was my update. First book down. We're gonna read the next one. I don't know too much about this one, but a lot of my friends who read it rated it 5 stars. Like a lot of them. Christy rated it 5 stars. Riley rated it 5 stars. Okay, I'm excited to read it. We're gonna listen to the audiobook. Again, we're gonna listen to the audiobook for all of these, and I will update you guys when I have more updates. Our second book for this video. I just finished Lost in the Moment and Found, which is the 8th book in the Wayward Children series. I'm just gonna say I loved it so freaking much. I gave it 5 stars. Hands down one of my favorite books that I read in the series. I think up until this point, my favorite was always Down Amongst the Sticks and Bones, I think is what it's called. I've always loved Jack and Jill's story in this series, and that one has always remained my favorite. But this one, I loved it, and I can see why it's so highly rated because a lot of my friends also gave it 5 stars. I think I was watching Riley talk about this book, and she mentioned kind of like an interesting fact that went right over my head. So this is the 8th book in the series. The even number books are books about different worlds, so you are introduced to the different doors and characters finding their doors and the life that they live there. And then the odd books are basically taking place in like the human world or Eleanor's school for wayward children, and it is them either trying to find their doors or going on some type of quest. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know how I missed that because all of the even numbered books are my absolute favorites because I love hearing about all of these different worlds and doors and experiences that the characters are going through. I would love more, or any really, character art for this entire series. I want illustrations for these books. I mean, they already read like such a fairy tale. I want an illustration of all of these magical places that are being described to us. So someone out there with a lot of talents needs to get on that. Not me, bestie, but you, maybe. Anyways, getting back to the book, Lost in the Moment and Found, it follows our main character, Antoinette. I will say that this book does cover some darker themes, so make sure to read the trigger warnings. There's trigger warnings for loss of a loved one, grooming, and just some uncomfortable situations. So again, make sure to read the trigger warnings. I will say that I'm a Cancer and I cry very easily, but this is not a series that typically makes me cry. However, this book, I was listening to the audiobook at work and I was crying. Tears just streaming down my face. Super emotional, very intense, so check the trigger warnings. So early on in this book, you follow Antoinette and she loses her father that she's very close to when she's younger. It is a huge tragedy for her. And a couple years later, her mother remarries and she doesn't get the good vibes from her stepfather, okay? She can just feel in her bones that something deeply wrong is happening in her home, so she leaves and discovers her door. Now, her door is the place where all lost things go. So think about like when you lose a sock, or when you lose a shoe, or you lose a pair of keys. This is the place where all lost things go and kind of find a home. A place that is housing lost things and providing a home and solace for them calls out to her. Almost like a little market too, because she helps helps people find the things that they lost, and she also can go to other doors, to different markets, and buy merchandise to resell. Magic of the Doors is always really interesting, but I feel like this one was more interesting than most because she did have access to more than one door. Familiar with the series, you would know who Lundy is. It's a character in the series. Her book is the 4th book in An Absent Dream, and she goes to like a goblin market. This book reminded me a lot of that one, but I didn't love that one as much as I do this one. I'm not to over explain or give any spoilers because the beauty of these books is really just going in and discovering with the character. I'm so emotionally attached to the character through Shauna McGuire's writing. It was absolutely beautiful and heartbreaking. There are so many discussions happening in this book. It's talking about grief and loss. It's talking about where you go when you don't feel safe. So emotional because our character is essentially a child when all of this is happening, and they're making sacrifices and risks with magic without truly knowing the consequences of everything. I think the audiobook was so perfect. I listened to the audiobooks for every single one, and I think the narrator does a fantastic job. Like, if you can get your hands on the audiobook, I would recommend that because the narrator did such an amazing job. At the beginning of the book, she sounds very childlike, and as like the book progresses and she gets older, her voice changes based on the experiences that she's going through, and you can like almost feel this childlike innocence like shedding away from our character because of the choices the narrator made. Yeah, the audiobook really just made it like an immersive experience, a fun time. Okay, even more than a 5 stars for me, like 10 stars all around. I would consider this like a portal fantasy book, and it does deal with some heavier tones. It's very heartbreaking and melancholy and just like achy. When you're reading this book, your heart literally aches, but at the end of it, you're still, I don't know if it's like hopeful at the end, but you feel something, okay? Emotions are happening. I feel like I'm describing this poorly, but I loved it. Hands down, my favorite in the series. And I honestly don't even feel like you have to read every other book in the series. Like, this is one that I'm like, you know what? If you want to read this as a standalone, I feel like you could. The experience is better if you read all of the books, but this one I feel like stands on its own. Anyways, we finished the book, 5 stars. Now we're on the last book in the series. I'm almost caught up, so I will update you guys when I finish that one. This new kombucha at Costco. It is the Remedy brand, I believe, and it is their mixed berry flavor. I love it. I got a pack of it at Costco, and I think it's my favorite kombucha flavor I've tried, and it's such a good size too. So yummy. Okay, we got a package to open. I said in 2024 I want to buy less books and be more intentional with my book buying, and I do feel that way in my corazon, but this book has been on my wish list, my Amazon wish list, for literal ages, and I was kind of like debating whether to get it or not. Now that I am pretty much caught up on the Wayward children's series, I do want to go back and read some of the beginning books that I read a couple years ago and maybe forgot some of the little pieces to them. So I got this stunning copy. This is a bind up of the Wayward children's series. It's books 1 through 3. You have Every Heart a Doorway, Down Among the Sticks and Bones, which is my favorite book from the series, and then Beneath the Sugar Sky. The copy is so stunning. It says Be Sure on the front and then has a bunch of doors as well. Looks like that. I got the hardcover. Another reason I was hesitant to get this book is because it didn't have the best reviews on Amazon. So many people were saying that they opened the book and it was actually a different book inside. Like, so many people were randomly saying that they opened it up and it was a Nora Roberts book inside. How random. Like, not even the same author, but I don't have that issue. That is something to take into consideration. When I tell you there was like multiple people reviewing that and commenting that, it made me nervous, but it came beautiful and it's the correct book. Kind of like the synopsis, it kind of describes it really well. It says, children have always disappeared under the right conditions, slipping through the shadows under a bed or at the back of a wardrobe, tumbling down rabbit holes and into old wells and emerging somewhere else. But magical lands have little need for used up miracle children. Yeah, that's a fun little purchase. I'm kind of in the middle of redoing my room right now, which is why I'm sitting in this corner because everywhere else is a mess. But I got this cute little lamp, which is a candle warmer, and I found this strawberry candle at, where did I find you? Home Goods. I found her at Home Goods. She's cute. Okay, that's my little update. Hello. A little bit of a familiar setup. A couple hours later, we are done with work for the day. I have a little bit of makeup on because I was filming some other videos, but I thought I would update you guys because I was listening to my audiobook as I was working, and we finished the last book in this series. Ugh, I'm so sad. A new book comes out, I think, every January, so the fact that I have to wait a whole other year for another one makes me very sad, but I'm also happy that we caught up on the series. So I just finished Mislaid in parts half known. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. One of the books that is more of a quest and not so much portal fantasy. It really is a continuation of the last 2 books that we read here in this video. There is absolutely no way that you could read this book out of order. It references pretty much every character we have been introduced to in the entire series, going back all the way to like the first book. Really, it is a continuation of Antoinette's story and Cora's story. Both of those books were very open-ended, so this was kind of like a nice closed door, get it? Door, to their stories. Antoinette, or Ancy, that's her nickname, she spent some time at Eleanor's school for wayward children, and now it is time for her to go back home. So her and a bunch of the other characters in the story kind of make their way in finding her door. A lot of this book was kind of like righting what was wrong and giving closure. Our characters are really figuring out what it means to be a hero and to go on these quests and what they're asking for when they ask for their doors to appear to them again. The adventurous, it was fantastical, it was fun. I gave it 4 stars. Not my favorite in the series, but still good nonetheless. I really wish we got more of the dinosaur world in here. In this book, you do get a peek into different worlds, and one of them is like a dinosaur Jurassic Park situation, and it's so cool, but it's such a small part of the book. Like, the cover is stunning, and I was really hoping we would stay in that world a little longer. What we did get was pretty awesome. I don't know how long this series is going to continue. So far, she's been releasing a book a year. Every January she releases a book. I'm patiently, not so patiently, waiting for Christopher's story. I don't know if we'll ever get that, but I will absolutely read any release that Shauna Maguire does. I am a big fan of her writing. I've read her other series. Let me grab it. The other book that I read by her was Middle Game, and I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I have like tabs all over it because I loved it so much. This one is a hard book to describe. Basically follows our 2 characters who are twins. They don't quite know that they have a twin though. Both of them have very special capabilities, have these special abilities because a man named Reed, who basically created them almost, dabbles in alchemy and science and is on a quest to create gods. So I don't even feel like that's a good explanation. It's kind of science fiction-y, very adventurous. The writing is intriguing. It's the type of book I feel like you could reread 2 or 3 times and figure out something new each time. There is a second book in the series that I haven't read, so I do intend to continue that. That might be the next book I pick up. There are some novellas in the Wayward Children series that I was not aware of, so I think I'm gonna read those. So this video is not quite over. Sorry, it's a little long one, but I've really been loving these longer vlogs. There's like 2 novellas in this series and they're super short, so I'm gonna read those and then we will wrap up this video. Sir, I need to provide the people with an update. I need to provide them with an update. So, matching kind of twins. Oh, I love you so much, but I gotta provide the people with an update. They want to know what books I read. Love you. Love you so much. And sit on my lap, but you have to chill. You're not even resembling anything close to being chill. I mentioned it in other videos, but I'm reorganizing my room and my shelves, so we are really struggling to find spots to film. So I'm sitting on my floor, looks a little empty. I still need to get a rug, organize these shelves. It's a work in progress. We read the 2 novellas that are a part of the Wayward Children series. I honestly had no idea that there were like additional novellas to the story, especially because the books themselves I feel like are already novella length. They're already pretty short, but there are 2. So the first one that I read was In Mercy Reign, and I'm gonna go ahead and just give this a 4 star. These are really short. Both books I think were no more than like 40 pages. Very short snippets, almost like slice of life life type of novella. Obviously, you can't read these shorter ones as standalones because they are just continuations of existing characters that you're introduced to throughout the series. The first one I read is In Mercy Reign, and this one is really Jack's story. So you're introduced to Jack and Jill in the beginning books. They are sisters who are twins, and they come from a door called the Moors, and it's almost very horror-like. There's werewolves and vampires and mad scientists, and that is the world that they come from. Really get more of their story in the book Down Amongst the Sticks and Bones, which is my personal favorite. I don't know if that's because I'm just like a vampire fanatic. My favorite book growing up when I was like in junior high and high school was Dracula. I even have a Dracula tattoo, a little bat on my arm. So very vampire obsessed, kind of love the mad scientist vibe. If I could blend like Frankenstein and Dracula, that's how I would describe the Moors. So I loved seeing just a little snippet into Jack's life, a continuation of her story. Kind of gives a little bit more backstory, but it was entirely too short. And I think that's my one thing about this series. It's like it never feels like enough because they are shorter books. And with there being like hundreds and hundreds of doors, there's also so many side characters that you're introduced to. You just want more. I want to live in this fantastical world forever and ever and ever and ever, and I hope it never comes to an end. I give it 4 stars because Jack is just my personal favorite character, but I don't think you have to read this novella to enjoy the series. The next one is Skeleton Song, and this is Christopher's book. I don't know if this is like his book and that's all we're getting from him, because if it is, that's a crime. That is an actual crime. I think I mentioned it before, Christopher being another one of my favorite characters. He comes from a door called Mariposa, which is almost like an underworld. The world is essentially filled with these bone-like skeletons who sing and dance, and they kind of like thrive in the night. Christopher is a character that you are introduced to in the beginning, and you know that he is in love with the skeleton princess, and he is desperate to find his way back to his door so he can marry her, his one true love. It's very sweet. I really love his character, and I just want more. I want more. Again, that's my chief complaint, is I want more of his story. I want more of his background and the world that he came from. I love him. One of my favorite characters. I think it's kind of funny that the 2 novellas are the 2 characters that are my favorite and that I want more from, Jack and Christopher. And I'm giving 3 stars because I feel like you could do so much with Christopher's backstory and culture and the imagery and like everything. I feel like it could be so like a love story for the ages. You know what I mean? Like he's in love with the skeleton princess. Okay, but he's human, and then he gets kicked back to the real world, and he's trying to find his way back, and his love for her never wavers. Love story for the ages, I feel like. Just a missed opportunity. I feel like Christopher is such a missed opportunity. I don't know if he's getting like a full-length book. You know, Seanan McGuire has spoken about how some characters are getting later books. Like I know Cade's book is going to be the last one because he's kind of the one that's going to take over Eleanor's school. Give us Christopher. Give us Christopher. Thank you so much. I don't know why I'm playing with this. So yeah, I think it's time to wrap up this video because I am completely caught up on the Wayward Children series by Seanan McGuire until she releases her next book in January. Top of my thoughts of the series and Seanan McGuire's writing as a whole, I am a big fan. I love her writing style. I love how she can create something so fantastical and magical, also make it feel raw and real. But I will read pretty much any book that comes out in this series, and probably any book that Seanan McGuire writes. She has quite of an extensive backlist that I have not even dived into, so I look forward to reading more of her books. Wrap up where we read. We started with Where the Drowned Girls Go. I gave that book a 4-star. Then we read Lost in the Moment and Found. I gave that one 5-star. Absolutely my favorite book in the series. I would say this one and Down Amongst the Sticks and Bones. Those are my favorites. Then we read Mislaid in Parts Half Known. I gave that one a 4 stars. There's a lot going on in this book. I don't really feel like we were properly introduced to all the doors that they were going through, and it really was such like strong adventure quest, sticking it to the man vibes, but I still liked it, but it was not my favorite out of the 3 that we read. All right, this seems like a good point to end this video. We read 5 books, we're caught up on the series, and yeah, I had a really good reading week, even though my life has been very crazy. Thank you guys for joining me. I definitely want to do more vlogs where I'm catching up on series. So many series that I want to either reread or read for the first time. I want to read Gianna Darling's MC series. I want to reread the Percy Jackson series because the Disney show came out. I have a lot of things that I want to get to, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video nonetheless. Thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!